Join.
Swing big and save even bigger with our Big League Markdowns at Capital Ford in Santa Fe. This is your shot at big league deals, like a new 2025 Ford F-150 XLT 4-wheel drive Power Boost Hybrid, now up to $9,900 off MSRP, or a new 2026 Ford F-250 Super Duty, now up to $6,100 off MSRP. We're offering up home run deals all day, every day, with these Big League Markdowns at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Who says time travel isn't possible? That you can't go back 400 years in a single afternoon to a place where free spirits still run free, where things made by hand make memories, where a getaway feels like you're getting a world away. There are so many things that make this city different, and so much more waiting to be uncovered.
Hey, welcome back to the second episode of the GloomCast. Kind of a new rendition here that Santa Fe Gloom owner David Fresquez and myself has kind of started to launch on. Second episode dedicated to behind the brand, naming a professional sports team. But before we jump into the episode, let's get to tonight's kind of panel and the guest, the owner, the creator, the person that kind of got the Gloom started there in Santa Fe, David Fresquez. What's up, man? How you doing?
Moulton, thanks for having us. Another good night, a good conversation. And I got this puppy still barks. I got to get him out of the room or something. But Moulton, thanks for putting this together. And Scott, it's a good conversation. Can't wait.
Yeah, and the tonight's guest, we'll dive into it on the episode, but just really kind of behind the brand of the Santa Fe Gloom, where that all came from. I think the last episode we kind of touched on how the Gloom started, where the idea originated, and kind of the trials and tribulations that David went through to kind of get that started. But before he could have a team, he had to have a name and he had to have a logo. And we'll give a lot of that credit to Scott, tonight's guest. Scott, welcome to the GloomCast, man. How you doing?
Thanks, Erik. I'm doing great, man. I can only take partial credit. I have a good team as well. So,
Scotty's internet is
Scott. Yeah, it looks like his internet spotty, but we'll get over to you. We'll take him off the screen just for now. But Dave, what'd you think of the last episode, man?
Yeah, so it's a lot of good reflection. I actually got a couple text messages just from like our inner circle, our friends from Gloom, and it was fascinating because a lot of them didn't really know how long it took to like even get the Gloom up and running. Scotty, you're back.
Sorry, guys. I feel like this storm today put my internet in jeopardy, so I apologize.
No, you're good. David, finish.
Gas bill.
Yeah.
Infinity.
There you go. Finish that thought, Dave.
Yeah, no, what I was saying is, and we're actually going to touch on it today. Like when we created the Gloom name, we weren't even a part of the MASL or the National Futsal Premier League. Like we were just like right in the middle of like, what do we do? Because the city said, sorry, Gloom, the doors are closed. And then that's when Scott and I kind of got together and said, well, what direction are we going to go? Are we going to wait for, the MASL to kind of re-rise in Santa Fe, or are we going to do futsal? So Scott and I were like, yeah, well, let's just do futsal. Let's just go for it. We got to get a team going. And then that's when we said, all right, well, we need a team name. So when Scott and I were kind of brainstorming all of this, we were not part of the NFPL, and we had really no league to play in.
Yeah, squat. And that's now that we have you back on, before we kind of jump into the details of like the idea, like what sparked the innovation, the creativity behind the Gloom, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you currently do for a living, things like that.
Yeah. Well, I think most importantly for this conversation, born and raised in Santa Fe, which really helped with the naming of the team, I think. But I come from a film background. I do a lot of film work and a lot of commercial work. So I have a background in marketing and filmmaking. And I have some really talented creative friends. And we have a little company, the three of us. We do some branding and marketing stuff as well on the side. And when David and I started this conversation, it was kind of a no-brainer of who to bring in. And it was my good friends, Kenny Barella and Brock Johnson, also both guys born and raised here in Santa Fe, so locals. And yeah, it was just, we love being creative and getting stuff done like this, and it was a great project for us.
Very cool. Well, we'll just kind of dive into where this whole thing launched off. I remember I've known David for basically most of my life now. We're heading into our 40s, but we've known each other since about 8, 9, 10 years old. And I mean, I remember when David first started talking about the idea of a professional soccer team, arena soccer. Futsal didn't come into the picture until like late in that kind of how on things unfolded. But when he approached you with this idea of what futsal and the Gloom or maybe a professional soccer team could be in Santa Fe, I mean, what was your like kind of knee-jerk reaction to that idea and maybe wanting to get involved from the beginning?
Yeah. Honestly, it was interesting. I didn't not knowing David at all when I just got a random phone call from some guy saying he wanted to start a team. And I was kind of just like, yeah, cool, man. I'm always down for fun adventures and stuff like that. I wasn't really sure how serious he was. And then after I got to know him and we really started having a lot of conversations, I realized that David has a lot of tenacity and doesn't quit. And I was super excited. I think Santa Fe needs more people like that trying to do things in this town. It's as we've found out, it can be difficult, but I think it's worthwhile. And I think the city's better off for those things. So, after a couple of conversations, I'm a big soccer guy myself. I was running the Northern Soccer Club at the time, the youth program here in Santa Fe. And I was all in. I was all in, after a couple of conversations. And I mean, we've told this story several times, but I mean, Fresquez and I went to city hall meetings together and got we got beat down by the hockey community and the not physically, but we got beat by hockey people in the city council a couple times, and it was demoralizing, but like I said, tenacity wins, and here we are.
Hey, you guys prevailed from that. I remember having those conversations with David too, but really kind of focusing on the creativity side. I know that we have a slide deck kind of put together, just how you kind of brainstorm, put together the idea for the name. The Gloom wasn't one of the first ones that kind of surfaced, but I mean, how did you kind of think of putting the Gloom name together? What other, I guess, kind of ideas around the brand were you trying to represent, trying to connect with the community? What other team names did you guys come up with before actually landing on the Gloom?
Yeah. In preparation for this conversation, I was kind of looking back and reminiscing on how it went. And I think my favorite part of this whole creative process, any creative process, is always the beginning, because you don't know where you're going to go. You don't know where you're going to end up. And you kind of just start throwing things against the wall to see what's going to stick. And it's kind of the most like raw and it's the most exciting part of any creative process, because you don't know where it's going to go. And so me and Kenny and Brock sat there and just started coming up with the names, Brock Johnson's a professional copywriter. And so this was really more his wheelhouse, at the beginning, to kind of just give us all lists of names. And then we would all sit there and go through with them, go through each name and kind of see how we all felt about them. And I mean, I think Gloom was one of the early names that got thrown out, but for the creative process, we just kept going. We started with some basic, simple names, just like Santa Fe City, Santa Fe FC. Do we keep it just classic soccer? These were the conversations we had early on. Do we keep it classic soccer name? Do we try to have more character driven things? What was our goal with the process? So we had a lot of conversations like that. I think, I'd always liked Santa Fe City. I'm not a Manchester City fan, but I thought it kind of felt good for Santa Fe just to have that kind of name. But yeah, and this is here we go. This is the slide I have pulled up. I mean, there's some great names in here. There's some really good names. Some of my favorites are like Santa Fe Chingon. And Brock writes these great descriptions for each name, and I'll read them out if you guys want me to read them.
Yeah, go for it.
So Santa Fe Chingon is, this approach gives everyone the right to wear something that says they're Chingon. As we all know, Chingon means an intelligent, skilled, capable person, someone or something cool. Awesome, very good. This one gives some cachet to the city and the players, and also has a bit of a wink. So we go on to kind of, give a little explanation and a story behind each name. And I think when you're getting these creative processes, having a story behind the name really helps you just keep going and kind of keep getting into things. So we like things with a story behind it. Like we have one, like the Santa Fe 400, which is referencing the city being 400 years old. We thought that was pretty cool. There was a couple of Santa Fe Suave. I thought was pretty funny. And then, there's some like Santa Fe Locos, which is not going to be, a good one. Santa Fe Lowriders. I don't know how serious we took this one, but it was a good one. Santa Fe Fighting Ristras was a really good name. And it was, a bunch of singular chilies make up the collective Ristra. So it speaks to the strength in numbers in both sports and the community, and also gives a wink to personifying the chilies. So again, we're giving ourselves a character that we could have there with the name. But I like the Santa Fe Fighting Ristras a lot. That one was cool. David, were there any more that stood out to you that you kind of had ever thought about that when we first started this process? I'm curious.
No, I was pretty clueless. I didn't give you guys much. I felt like you guys could take the project and run with it.
Yeah.
One of our early inspirations was the Oakland Roots. That kind of guided us into like a direction of, we wanted this team name to like feel like it was rooted into the community, that it was community based, that when you heard the name, you're like, oh yeah, like we really understand that name and it means something to the community. So
yeah, and I think we really wanted something that anyone from or living in Santa Fe, they got it right away. So it was maybe not like an inside joke, but something that meant something to the community here, and something people could get behind, from Santa Fe being like kind of a uniquely Santa Fe identity. So we had a lot of great ideas and it was super fun, but I do think Gloom was, I think, one of the first three or four names we threw out there. And we kept going back to it. We kept trying, when you get in these processes, you try to poke holes and get away from your good idea, but we just kept going back to it. And that's kind of what all led us to believe that it was a pretty good name.
So yeah, and I remember when you guys gave me this name, and I've told the story a few times. And then Scott, I'll kind of let you explain the thought process behind it. But I was like, the Gloom, I was like, there's just no way. And one of my good friends, Patrick, he was like, man, you need to go towards like fiestas and the culture and the tradition of Santa Fe, which I kind of understood, but I was like, no, I don't know if we need to go that route. I think it needs to be something different. But I was completely wrong with obviously the Gloom. So
What were your hesitations with it? I'm just curious.
no, there wasn't any.
Oh.
Or like, well, just in the concept of like just being like too traditional of Santa Fe. I felt like the name needed to be like a modern name or like forward thinking name for some reason. That was my thinking when he was telling me about fiestas or anything like that. But with the Gloom, I didn't understand it the first 5 seconds you guys explained it, and then like that 6th second, I was like, that's it. I was like, that's gonna be hard to like come back from, you know.
I remember when David told me that this was a name that was suggested. At that point, I stopped thinking about any other sort of name. I was like, this was perfect.
Yeah.
Like it just made complete sense, and obviously the ties to like Gloom and Zozobra and Fiestas and all of it together. But I mean, you kind of think you alluded to it, Scott, earlier with like the characters, right? Like what the Gloom would represent, right? Like the haunting souls, the kind of the bad juju that people write off at the end of the year and kind of burn away their gloom and do away with it after fiestas. That's kind of like the whole purpose and the tradition behind Zozobra. So I thought that kind of had a really cool tie to Santa Fe. So yeah, I mean, once that name was done, I was like, Dave, I don't even know why you're looking anymore, man. It's like it's right there. Like, stop playing with it. Just this is perfect. Don't even overthink it. So Scott, why don't you walk us through like Gloom in your sense when this kind of stuck with your group, and it sounds like it was a team of individuals that pulled this together, but Gloom, it sounds kind of real unconventional for a sports team, but it ties back to Santa Fe roots. But to you, what kind of emotions, maybe symbolism or attitude were you trying to capture with that choice, and how do you think now, how does it resonate with the community in Santa Fe and maybe northern New Mexico?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think just simply put, it's just badass. I just think it's one of those names that like we're all saying, like we can't imagine it being called anything else at this point. But I think Brock put it perfectly in this deck here. He wrote, inspired by the rich culture of the city different and destined to haunt rivals for years to come. Our goal isn't just more goals, it's bringing more soul into the community. So right away, we started playing with these, themes and visuals of haunting and, having a soul and bringing that to the soccer league, which we really liked. And as a creative, you're always looking for different, what can we do with a mascot? What can we do with jerseys? What can we do with a marketing campaign? How can this be branded? And, we just had so many different ideas just based off this Gloom name that it really felt good as we started diving into it. It gave us a lot of avenues. It gave us a lot of things to explore and be creative with, which is what you're looking for when you're doing this. And we, like I said, we really tried to exhaust all of our options and make sure we weren't just saying, oh, cool, this is the name, let's just go with it. We did try to make sure this wasn't, that there wasn't something better. But as the more we tried, the more Santa Fe Gloom was unbeatable, just like on the soccer court. But scary good soccer is a really great tagline we came up with as well. So we just had a lot of fun with it. And I think as a creative person, once you start having that fun with it and you start feeling that, I think you're onto something. And then, I mean, I like that it's kind of like something that if you're not from Santa Fe, you may not get it, which I think is okay. And we were a little nervous about that. And I think we all were, David including, like, should we be going that route or should we be making something more universal? And the more we thought about it, like, this is a small town. This is going to be a small club that we're coming up with this name for. So I think it felt right to make it very Santa Fe and unique. And yeah, I mean, I was a Gloom when I was a kid, so it's and a lot of people can say that, so they get it. It speaks to them, and it's kind of an unforgettable name when you hear it for the first time.
Yeah, it truly is. And
Yeah.
I think too, it ties into, because I mean, we'll call the futsal Santa Fe Gloom what it is. It's minor league soccer, minor league futsal. It still is professional on some levels, but I mean, you look around other minor league sports, like you could even look at the Isotopes, for example, or like the team down in El Paso, the El Paso Chihuahuas, which is the AAA ball club. They're like different kind of unique characters. Like I think even the Isotopes have an alternative name, like the green chili cheeseburgers. Like they wear these specific uniforms, so they're very untraditional. They're not very serious, and the Gloom kind of fits that characteristic. Was that something what you guys were aiming for? Kind of something maybe off the cuff, or because you talked about like an identity or maybe like a character being like an actual figure. I don't know if that's what you're going for, if Gloom just came up and that's just what stuck.
Yeah. We definitely wanted something. I mean, we went a lot of different routes, and we can actually explore some of the other names, which might kind of help see our you can visualize our process on this. Because we did, I think our main conversation was between going with a traditional soccer club name or doing something different. Right there, Santa Fe City FC. I mean, it can't get more basic than that. But we also wanted to make it seem like a professional soccer team. Like this is a real deal. We really thought about a lot of different things. Like, do we need to sound? Does it need to present a certain way? Is this for pure soccer fans, or is this for people who don't really watch soccer? Is this for families? Is this for what is this for? And these are the things we went through in our conversations. As you can see here, we were with the Santa Fe City FC. We were going more traditional. We had some visuals here to represent heritage and culture and Santa Fe from the art side of things and from the historic side of things. And if you keep going, I believe what's the next? Oh, the next one after this is kind of funny. So more traditional, as you can see here, traditional patch, traditional look. We threw the ghost in there just to kind of represent that gloom, because we still wanted the gloom. I think if you go back up one slide there, Eric, yeah. So you can see the ghost we put there in the middle, because we were still at this point, I guess we were still stuck on the gloom idea. So this shows you right here how much we were that was still living in our minds. But we liked that 1610. We liked throwing the 1610 in there. But yeah, so this was our more like traditional soccer approach, traditional soccer name. Is this going to resonate with soccer people? These are great jerseys right here, man. You could still do a special edition of these. So yeah. And then, not to get too off topic, but, when you're pitching these kind of ideas, there's always, I think you kind of have the crowd favorite, and then you have a safe one, which would have been Santa Fe City FC. And then if you keep going, you have one that's always kind of a little more fun and maybe not as serious. And that was Santa Fe Fierce, which we just had more fun with. As you can see here, bright colors, more playful, energetic. We were kind of thinking Meow Wolf here with some of these color schemes and everything. But Santa Fe Fierce was more of just a like, hey, this is also an idea too if you want to go this route. But probably the least serious out of all three that we eventually pitched to David. I think all along Gloom just really, really stuck.
Scott, Brock really liked the Santa Fe Fierce.
I don't think Brock liked the Santa Fe Fierce at all.
Oh, okay.
Kenny was the one that was very into Santa Fe Fierce.
Okay.
This was Kenny's big push. And Kenny is the graphic designer. He had a lot of fun with the colors. I think is really what he liked about it a lot.
I think that's the best part about it is all the colors and how they jump out at you. Ties back to Meow Wolf. And then I mean down the road, I think Meow Wolf partners with the New Mexico United, but you could somehow tie in like a special kit or jersey with Meow Wolf for like a special night or some type of release. But I think that kind of really jumps out. And you think there's a lot of sports teams now that have alternate jerseys that have like those bright neon colors that are kind of more, I guess, more fashionable or more common now than like a traditional jersey. But very cool color palette. I actually like the Santa Fe city jerseys too, with like that traditional Santa Fe or like Native American kind of designs tied into it. I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, yeah. I think they all. I mean, I think they all turned out really well. Kenny Burrell is a very talented designer, and he was able to, put all this together. Yeah,
So
I think overall I mean, and when you go into these pitches, you always kind of have your favorite, and I think we all had our favorite, which was Santa Fe Gloom. I thought Santa Fe City FC would have been cool as well. I'm probably more of a traditional soccer guy myself, whereas Kenny and Brock are not soccer guys at all, so they were just looking at it from a pure creative standpoint.
yeah, I got two more questions for you, Scott.
Yeah.
If you had to start this whole project all over again, what would you do differently?
That's a really good question. That's a good question.
That's hard, Scott, because
Yeah.
we're giving you credit for, in my opinion, the most iconic sports team name in the 400 years of Santa Fe existing. And I haven't heard of a better sports team name than Gloom yet. Not even close.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
But I do, again, I just can't take all the credit for it. Like I said, it was a total team effort. And I do give Brock Johnson was the one that first pitched Santa Fe Gloom. I said, sweet, I love it. So, that's where I was kind of the main thing there. But yeah, I think this might be controversial. This might be a controversial take. I wish we would have maybe given David some more. Wish we would have given him some different logo options that he could have had, maybe to decide from. That was our big thing. He ended up going with a different logo than what we pitched him, and which is great. It's his team; he gets to do that, and that's the beauty of it. But I wish we would have maybe given him some different logo options.
Yeah.
Scott, we've got Retro Night coming in this next season, so there you go.
Yeah. No, but honestly, like I have very few, if any, regrets from this process. It was really cool. It was super fun. Yeah, I wouldn't name it anything differently. I don't think anyone would. I am disappointed he went with capital high colors for the color scheme. I went to Santa Fe High, but
Yeah,
I
stick
think
with the teal, man, with the turquoise.
yeah, no, it is. But what is the capital high official colors? Do we know what they call their colors?
Like a teal, I think.
They call it teal.
Black,
And you call
yeah.
yours turquoise?
Turquoise ties back to Santa Fe, I think, a little bit more, maybe more like traditional New Mexican.
And that actually reminds me of one name we had was Santa Fe Stones, to kind of throw back to all like the turquoise and all that stuff. I thought that was kind of a clever name. But no, I think I never named a sports team before, so we really took it seriously, and then we put a lot of effort into it. And I think we gave David some great options. I think he was spot on with what he picked, and it's obviously been very successful. And people say it now like it's just a normal sports name, and I think that's the beauty of it. It's not like an awkward name. It's not a weird name. It's just an accepted, very cool, very usable name for a sports team. So I think it was overall a very successful mission.
Yeah, well, I think David would agree with me here, but I think the brand, the team, the sports identity, the community support around it, I think it's still continuing to grow. Just wrapped up season 3, but I really think that they've kind of really hit their stride, and you've been kind of one of those key contributors from the early beginning. So kudos to you and the team that you guys assembled and the ideas that you guys flew around and actually brought home. So I'm gonna let you kind of, I don't know if you do this full time, if this is like a career thing for you, but I mean, where do people find you if they want to come to you for logo good designs or clothing concepts or just kind of brand marketing?
Yes.
Like, cause that's your background. Where do people find you to help their business out?
Yeah, you can go to scotthussion.com and find me that way. We, myself and my business partners, Kenny and Brock, we all freelance for the most part. and we're all very busy, so we haven't even had the time to put together a website, which I always kind of say that's good because that just shows how busy we are. But yeah, you can go to scotthussion.com and find me that way. Hit me an email. But we would love to brand anything. To be honest, we love doing it. It's super fun. It's our passion, and things like this just make it worthwhile. And to see it all over town, and to hear people talking about it, and kids wearing the jerseys, and it just gives so much credit to David to just fighting with this thing and all the way through and making it happen. So it's super cool to be a part of it.
And Erik, I have a couple questions, maybe 2 more minutes for Scott too.
Go for it. Yeah, take your time.
Scott, explain to our audience too, like our conversations, if we wanted a mascot or not, or because you see like that little Pac-Man, Gloom logo. But then we've really decided not to go with a mascot. Like, share your thoughts on that, because I know that was something we went back and forth on.
Yeah. Like I said, I think as a creative person, you're always looking to see how far you can take something and where it can go. And so the whole time we were thinking like, okay, cool. Like, this name gives us a mascot. We can do all these different things with it. And we go crazy with that sort of stuff. And I think that's where we really liked the Gloom, because we wanted to have a mascot like that. And being a family, we really decided that it was a family-friendly thing, and the families were going to be kind of the key thing for all of this. So that, again, we just kind of kept pushing that mascot idea of, a ghost or something like that running around. And we stuck with that. There's no mascot, but that was where our head was always at.
Another question to you for you, Scott, too. In the future, we would like to have a women's pro futsal team. Do you think the name would be Gloom, or do you think it would be another name?
Well, I guess I'll answer that in 2 ways. Like, I think from a branding perspective, keeping it Santa Fe Gloom is great. From a creative standpoint, I would love to come up with another team name. So either way, I think it's a win. But I think it works for a female team as well. And like I said, I think it keeps your brand, recognizable, and people now know, that there's several teams. It's a club, and I always, again, being a traditional soccer guy, like Manchester United has a women's team and a men's team. They're just Manchester United Football Club, and they have different teams. So I like that. But like I said, if we got to name another team, I'd be pumped on that too. So,
Scott, thank you so much for answering all those tough questions. We took it easy on you.
I'll throw one more comment in there.
You can ask me anything tough, David. I was, like I said, I didn't want to get into the logo conversation, but that was the only controversial thing I could think of.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think, like I mentioned, I feel like there's room for a retro. I would be curious to see how our audience likes those logos there on the screen.
Yeah.
It's very New Mexico United-esque, I feel like, with the colors. The other thing too is working with our friends at Zozobra. We can throw us a Zozobra kit, There's just a lot of options to get really creative.
Yeah, there really is. And the other thing was the color scheme. We actually talked about, going with New Mexico United colors because it was so popular and people were really loving that New Mexico United brand. I think it was smart to not go with their colors in the long run and do your own colors. But I do think nowadays mixing it up and all of a sudden coming out with something new for people to wear and buy is always a great move. So retro night, I'm in. Sign me up for a t-shirt.
Moulton, you had a follow-up?
No, I was going to transition into a commercial, but if we're good to let Scott go. Scott, it was nice to meet you kind of informally from where I sit. I'm in Rio Rancho, but I've known David for a long time, and I'm kind of like a second voice in his head sometimes, just helping out with this stuff and helping him with the on-screen graphics and some of the podcasting stuff. But it was nice to meet you, man. And again, congratulations for starting and bringing the idea to kind of full circle for the Gloom. I think it's a home run, man. And I really think it's just continuing to grow and get a lot of momentum behind it. And the idea of like an alternative kit or having you guys coming along for the ride sounds like a really good idea. So hopefully we'll meet in person one day.
Awesome. Thanks, Erik. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. You guys are doing a great job. Keep it up.
Howdy, thank you.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and I'll come back with David Fresquez.
The moment you step foot in Santa Fe, it beckons you to step out of the ordinary. A city that encourages risk-taking, a palette of perspectives, and cherishes the power of originality. Discover art that breathes, landscapes that come alive, and stories that resonate deep within your soul. It's just one of the things that makes the city different, but there's still so much more waiting to be uncovered.
Welcome back to the GloomCast. Sharp guy, dude. He do a ton of ideas out there. I didn't realize that much really goes into something like that, but and I'm usually just thinking of ideas either like in the shower or on my drive to work or something, or having a conversation with you. But dude, Scott and his team really hit a home run with the Santa Fe Gloom, and I think the ideas of starting like an alternative kit or partnering with Zozobra and that whole group is really exciting. So I don't know if you have any kind of follow-up thoughts to all that, or maybe if you want to speak on your relationship with Scott a little bit more.
Yeah. So, I mean, this process took from start to finish. It probably took us about 9 months to do. I think we found the Gloom name maybe in around month 3 or 4. And then, as you know, Erik, then we had to bounce around the logo idea, and we went several rounds, many rounds of figuring out the logo. And it's just a long process because you have to literally sleep on it and take your time to really nail something that's compelling for the community.
Yeah. Well, I said it earlier, but I think the Gloom resonates with Santa Fe in general because of the longstanding history with the fiestas in northern New Mexico, and just kind of what Gloom means, and getting rid of bad juju, bad memories, bad things you want to let go of in the past. I thought it was cool, but it also gives like a kind of like I would say like a scary or some kind of dark side to like a team, because you want it to be a little like intimidating too at the same time. So it gives off that vibe. So I think there's a ton of stuff that you can do. And I mean, you've done a good job of kind of putting together merchandise with the scarves and the 2 hats and the stuff that you've put that is actually right behind you. But then even the flags that I have up here and stuff like that. So I think there's plenty of room to have alternative kind of styles and colors and things like that, especially as it ties to Santa Fe. But really good job. And man, just thinking 3 years in, there's so much more time and room to grow, but that season's going to get here faster than you know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that we would like to have a call of action for, or some thoughts, is to a supporter group. Most big soccer teams have a designated soccer supporter group, and the Gloom's going to be no different. So we're looking for names of that supporter group. We've already got a couple that we really like. And the cool thing is about the Gloom is it's kind of a double meaning. When people think of Gloom, they think of something sad or scary. But here in Santa Fe, when you hear Gloom, you think of fiestas, Zozobra, new beginnings, traditions, culture, everything that makes Santa Fe real magical. So our supporter group name, we want that to be also really similar. So So stay tuned to some more brainstorming on our supporter group name and just the vibe and feel.
If people have suggestions for names, is there going to be like a project or something that you release to kind of, I guess, take people's votes or want the community to get involved? Because I think one, spreading the awareness is a really big deal, but also allowing people to kind of share in the experience of naming a support group that they're going to end up being a part of one day. How do people get involved?
Yeah, I would say at the moment, Instagram, direct message, and I think we'll probably put some type of campaign together. We're still trying to brainstorm that idea, but we definitely want community input because at the end of the day, like we've mentioned, the Gloom is tied to the community. And without all of our great fans and everybody giving us suggestions and it being, literally born and raised here in Santa Fe, our branding, the Gloom's not going to be as authentic as we want it. So we definitely want feedback from the community.
So, like outside of just coming up with a name for this support group, I mean, what other things are like associated? Obviously, like the community that goes within being like a sports team fan group, right? Like things start outside of that. There's meetups, there's hangouts, there
Yeah.
people get together after games and go have a drink or go have dinner, and people are wearing a lot of the same stuff. But you're aiming to kind of tie in the entire Santa Fe community from the youth to the middle-aged people to even older people to making it a family-friendly environment. Now, like I mean, in theory, or your ideology behind like what is that fan experience like?
Yeah, I think,
Once that fan group does establish itself.
yeah, I think we're brainstorming that now. I'm not exactly sure of that. I think it's a lot of more of the same. If people who have come to our Gloom games, they absolutely love the environment. I just think it's going to be brainstorming, and I think we're going to unload some of that when I talk to our DJ Kiko. He's got lots of ideas. He's a mainstay at our Gloom games. Obviously, you too, Erik, to kind of brainstorm these things. But we want these Gloom games to always be very authentic. So when you're coming into the Chavez Center or Santa Fe High School, you're smelling the food, you're seeing the colors, you're seeing other business community members tabling, you're walking into the gym, into the court, and you're seeing athletes, with good sportsmanship. You're seeing lots of goals. You're seeing business advertisements. You're also, we'll also have a live stream, hopefully through, I'm spacing their name at the moment. The group out of
ProView.
ProView Sports, been talking to them. So I think it's all together going to come really nicely come this season 4, because it's just, it's been a lot of trial and error, but it's always been really, really authentic.
How do you build on the environment? Because I've been to a couple of Goon games. They're a lot of fun. They're entertaining. The game never slows down. There's really never like a break, right? So you have live music playing during the games, like a live DJ. You have food. You have the pop-up tents where you're selling merch. You have kids playing kind of behind the goals or even up top when you're at Santa Fe High. So there's kind of a lot going on at the same time. Even like the national anthem, you had a kid sing the national anthem. I think one of the last home games, you had a really cool like violinist kind of play the game. That was kind of exciting. She tied in like her electric violin, things like that. Now, how do you continue to kind of build on that momentum? Is it just really just creative things, or people reaching out to you to say, hey, I think this is a good idea? They approach you and then you kind of just take it into action?
Yeah, exactly. I think one thing that I've been turned on to is just a lot of database as well too. So I think organically we've been telling our friends and family members, people we know, come to the Gloom game. It's completely free. I think this year we're going to unroll maybe more of like a ticketing system. The games are still going to be free for the general public, but we want to capture who's actually coming to the Gloom games. you can obviously see that it's, it's families, it's kids, but we actually want to put that into some type of database so that we can store it. So then we can actually give out giveaways through email or through text message and just have a real organized fan data system so that we can offload giveaways and everything that's magical about the Gloom faster and easier.
Very cool,
So
man.
again, that's something that's going to be a learning curve for us, but I think we're there because I think the first couple of years we were just like, well, are people going to come? And they definitely did. It's 300, 400 people at our games. So I think that's kind of our next step.
Very cool. Now, I don't really have any more questions for you other than this last one, and maybe I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but is there ever going to be like a fan fest or some kind of like offsite event, music, food, a chance for people to come, meet the players, get autographs, kind of have one big party and kind of celebrate the Gloom and the relationship it has with the city?
Yeah. I hope so. I hope we can get all of our ducks in a row and have something come. Our first game, I think, is probably going to be January. So it's kind of hard in the winter season to put some type of like fan fest together. But to answer your question, Erik, is like, I think that's definitely what we want to do. We see the New Mexico United do it. And that's something we've always tried to follow into their footprint because they do things so good in terms of marketing and getting out to their fans and to their reach. So I think now that we're headed into season 4, I think we can do more of like a scheduled release. And now that we're working closer with the city of Santa Fe at the Chavez Center, I think we have some of those resources that we can begin to, again, put that data together, get our fan base together, and be able to say, hey, Santa Fe Gloom fans and supporters, come to a Gloom Fan Fest, let's call it the week before our first game, see the schedule release, see the players, buy merchandise, and get prepared for this next season. So I think we're really close to that. I think we've done the hard part in putting together all of these events. Again, when you're walking into these games, you're seeing kids and family members. We're doing it all off of our sponsors up top on the banner. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And to putting together a fan fest, I think is really essentially our next step.
Very cool. It's exciting stuff, man. And we'll wrap up the second episode of the GloomCast dedicated to covering the Santa Fe Gloom story. In this episode, we featured the details behind the brand, the Santa Fe Gloom, how the name came to be, how it kind of tied into the logo. And there were a ton of different options that were thrown your way, David, but you end up settling on one. And I think Scott and his team really hit a home run with coming up with the name. And you as an organization, as a leader in the organization and kind of the liaison between the team and the community, I think you've done a good job in naming a professional sports team. But for everyone listening, watching, tune in for episode 3. We'll have more details on that next week. Not sure when we'll get that episode out or our live stream out, but want to thank everyone for tuning in. David, any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, Scott and your team, Scott, thanks so much for creating the Gloom and the brand. You kicked us off with a great start. Erik, as always, thank you so much. And to our fans and our players, thank you guys so very much. And we're excited to continue these conversations.
Well, vamos Gloom. For Erik Moulton and David Fresquez, you've been watching the GloomCast. Take it easy, everybody.
If you're going to go somewhere, let it be like nowhere you've ever been. Where every wall, everywhere, is a work of art. And handcrafted comes in all shapes and sizes. A place where all natural is second nature. And our color palette was made by Mother Nature herself. A place where you can weave your own story. And the streets aren't crowded with people, but with art, history, and a one-of-a-kind culture. where the backdrops are blue skies, starry nights, and works of art that touch your soul. There's something about Santa Fe that's just different. Uncover your different in a place that is waiting to be discovered.